Hello, everyone, and welcome in. We're here for the 2023 Huck Central benefiting Mary Sunshine House. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, joined by the new guy, Joey Buckets. Joey
here.
Anderson? You're here, buddy.
Joey Buckets. I'm excited to be here commentating for the first time ever.
First time ever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are out here on the feature card along with the incredible cast and crew that we've got. We're out here at the Oconee National Disc Golf Complex, and this is a unique layout because there's going to ultimately be 3 or so courses on this property at some point. So this is kind of a mixture of a few different holes, and it may never get played again just the same as it is. So what are we doing on one?
One, you have 2 routes. This drone is flying the forehand route. It's 240 downhill. There's a drop off behind the basket, so you don't want to juice it too hard. There's also a backhand right side route, so it's kind of dealer's choice here.
All right, one Evan Smith, sponsored by Clash Disc, one of our supporters here this weekend.
Yeah, I'm good buddies with Evan. I think he's going with the mint here. He kind of pulls it a little bit, but he's got it look.
Yeah, not too bad. It checks up, and that is just past that rock, so to speak, just straight downhill, at least 15, 18 feet, maybe more.
Yeah, it drops off hard. That's my shot. Gets a bounce and falls off the cliff.
So that's going to be an uphill putt, at least 25, 30 feet. One Grady Shue.
Yeah, Grady choosing the forehand line here.
Oh, and slides it in.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that kind of skipped off the rock and just went in.
I seen that. I had the perfect angle.
These guys talking about the perfect angle. Grady has it.
Right in everything.
Very first shot of the tournament, throwing it in.
So that's how you do it.
As we said, that's how you do it. Can't argue with that. I think we're going to be able to take another look at it. And it wasn't clear, depending on where you were standing, if you saw it, that it essentially took the skip, then the skip off the rock, and then in, like a little ramp. Love it. MJ rounds out our card, says thanks, Grady, after taking all the excitement here on the first hole.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that skipped in off the rock at the time. I thought it just kind of skipped in. But MJ throws a forehand up. It sticks up there. Almost fell off.
The fact that we're one hole in, we've seen an ace, and we've seen an MJ forehand. I mean, come on. Those are like 2 unicorns already.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're actually allowed to take some relief off there just for safety reasons. So that's what you can see him doing here.
Yeah, was a great clarification that they made. Normally you'd obviously have to try and get your stance, and they said that you could bring it in. Is it a full meter, or what do you know?
I think it was 1 meter, yeah, 1
Okay.
meter in, if you're within that meter.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes good there.
So a very advantageous both rule and clarification that's also made right here on the very first hole.
Yeah.
Clearly it would suck to either try and gain your balance or to go to the bottom. Both of those options would suck. So I'm really glad that they made that determination.
For sure. Evan here, he is kind of wedged under the rock there, and that's a nice putt to start off the tournament. Kind of funky. He loves it.
And you'll tap in for the par. Hole 1 average 2.88 for our field out here today as we head over to hole 2.
Yeah, hole 2, it's kind of a backhand Anheuser flex shot that you kind of want to hold over right. It's going uphill, 220. You want to get it up this last little ridge if you really want the birdie, but just kind of throw the Anheuser, give yourself a putt.
And at 220, I feel like it probably plays maybe 240, 250. I mean, it's not much of a rise, but you got to put a little juice on it.
Yep. And this first tree here on the right kind of gets in your head. You want to hug it kind of tight. It's kind of scary, but it's a great shot there from Grady.
And as you can see by the flag there, not much wind to speak of out here today at all. Temps 70 degrees. Humidity's maybe up a little bit, but overall, beautiful day out here.
Yeah, really good conditions. Evan kind of caught a tree there and kicks right. I was scared of the tree, but kind of snuck through.
And what are you throwing there?
That's a zone.
It almost goes without saying, MJ, pretty much a banger GT, almost every hole it feels like.
Yeah, he was definitely relying on it out there.
Not too bad of a kick, so that's going to allow him to get up and down. Should be an easy par. And just after I talked about a lack of wind, now we actually see the flag blown a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little head right to left here. I was probably about 55 feet. Just tried to give it a little run, but not unhappy with it. Yeah, he knew that was in.
The signature MJ no look. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
whether it's Michael Jordan or Michael Johansen, it doesn't seem to matter.
Grady, a little left side. Seems like sometimes when you ace, it's like the next hole, it's kind of hard to kind of calm your nerves. You're a little excited.
Yeah, often people follow it up with like a bogey or a double bogey. So the fact that, he's going to pick up a par here, not too bad. As MJ, after he missed, MJ said, don't worry, you're still 2 down through 2. So I guess that is a nice consolation. And talk about, wow, a mixed bag for sure coming out of Grady. Sponsored by Infinite, but I see him throwing some discraft. I think he's putting with an in of a whale. Just quite a variety of discs in his bag there. We'll head over to hole number 3.
Yeah, hole 3, 340 feet, dead straight. Just throw mid, firm mid. You can go fairway, you can go putter if you have an arm. Pretty straightforward hole.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me, out of the first 3 holes, this actually plays as the easiest today. It averaged 2.68, and it is definitely longer than the previous 2 holes.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because it's the 3rd hole. You're kind of settled in. Nerves are kind of creeping away. And there's also nothing really scary about the hole. It's a pretty standard straight shot. MJ kind of leaks it a little right, but he'll have a look.
That also is pulling to the right, probably about 45, maybe 50 feet to the pin.
Yeah, Evan makes the correction.
I was going to say, it looked good the entire way. And so how often are you two battling with one another, and is MJ around as well? Is he another one of those guys you see often or not so much?
Not really so much. I'm a pretty good buddy with Evan, so we kind of get along, and we've played some practice rounds together. But MJ, not so much. I think this might actually be my first competitive round with MJ.
Kind of an awkward little Annie here for... And he didn't like it out of his hands, but he does draw a little metal.
Yeah, that was a good run.
That's still got to feel a little disappointing not getting 2 or 3 after opening with the ace. Here's MJ.
A little high. That's a good committed putt. Just a little high. Doesn't feel terrible, but I'm sure he wants that one. I made good from 20, and Evan's just parked, of course.
And what are you putting with?
I'm putting with the Recco from Castaplast, being Castaplast sponsored.
And as Evan taps in, it's almost like a modified mixed bag sponsorship, it seems like, with Clash. Tons of Clash in his bag, but a little mixture with a few other molds, at least for now. That may change up as time moves on. Let's hear from our friends at Clash.
And more spice. is that good?
Check out the whole lineup at clashdisc.com.
And a big thanks to our friends over at Clash for helping support this weekend's coverage as we head to 4.
Yeah, hole 4, it says 300 feet. Probably is, but it's very downhill. Probably plays 370. And the green is very treacherous. It slopes really far downhill. Most players going with the forehand here. Evan.
And it looks like just a mid out of his hands. Or maybe
Yeah.
even a putter as he draws metal.
Would have been cool.
Yeah, that's that mint. Got this one a little flipped up, and I was just like, hit the trees, and then it did.
All right. So getting it to check up even though you threw it maybe a little too straight.
That's a rough kick there from MJ. That was looking pretty good. It was turning nicely.
Yeah, you're not likely to see MJ throwing a forehand of this distance off of a tee. He'll throw one when he's in trouble, but usually not too much do you see him off the tee.
Yeah, if he has the option to go banger, he's most likely going banger GT.
So not too bad. As you can see, there's still an opening here. And that comes up just a bit short for him.
He says, don't land there.
Everybody's still fresh to the course. Oh, and the worst possible result as that gets up. Somehow it checks up there. That could have easily rolled another 30 or 40 feet.
Yeah, the ground play here is a little, you never know what you're going to get, kind of. There's a lot of kind of dead, just old limbs and mulch on the ground. MJ with the signature move again. Grady has some meat on the bone there. A little left side again.
Yeah,
Similar mistake.
I was just going to say that. I feel like every time we've seen him miss, it's been on that left side. You're about the same distance, maybe a step closer. High chain, but in.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your hyzer putt. You know, is that you feel like mimicked after anyone? Is it just something that you've always had? How did that come about?
I kind of feel like I've just always had it. It just kind of felt natural. Man, uncharacteristic miss there from Evan. But, yeah, the hyzer putt is just kind of natural. And I feel like I don't put on that much hyzer, and then I watch myself on video, and it's a lot of hyzer.
I was going to say, I think it's a straight hyzer putt. And
Yeah.
the amount of touch that you have to be able to gauge the distance, I think, is incredible when you're putting it just on that one line. As we move over to hole 5, this feels like one of the easier ones.
Yeah, this one definitely feels like a must get. It's really right in front of you. You could throw forehand, backhand. Good hillside to just kind of stop your disc. You can even ace run it, honestly, and still get a birdie. It's only 240.
Yeah, you have the OB directly in front. If anything hits, I think you go to a drop zone.
Yeah, there is a drop zone. You can kind of see it coming off the bridge right there. But, yeah, I'm going with the K3 Recco there, and couldn't be happier.
Yeah, there's almost a danger in hitting any metal or maybe the stump that's right near the basket in the fact that it could pop up and roll somewhat on you.
Yeah, for sure. There's that log at the bottom. They put some, like, dead log. Kind of stop it, maybe or maybe not, but
Okay.
yeah. They also put up some flags there.
Kind of reminiscent of hole 14 over at Maple Hill where they're trying not to punish people too bad after some kind of a roll away on that treacherous green. So it's been kind of a slow start here for Grady since getting the ace to open. But that should get him back on track.
Yeah, everyone successfully getting across with looks.
And now, how far do you live from this course? This is by no means a home course to you at all, right?
Not a home course, especially being a new course, but I live a little over an hour from here, so I've definitely made the trip to this area a few times.
Yeah, and to put this in perspective, I believe there's about 75 acres out here, and right now only 25 of those acres have been touched, and that's why you're seeing some different baskets. So that'll be part of different layouts that are in and playable right now, but this place is going to continue to just grow and become more and more incredible as we're seeing the very early goings of it. As we head over to 6.
Yeah, hole 6. There's a mando that doesn't really come into play. It's 350. You can throw a forehand kind of hyzer flip up to fade or a backhand turnover. I like the backhand turnover because it plays into the hill a little bit safer. But that's just my preference. And I guess I was kind of thinking about the mando with this one, maybe.
Well, it's such an interesting bend because you have to get it, left, and then it just has to fade for so long to the right side. It's not like you just make the corner and it's right there. I mean, you really need it to carry quite some time.
Yeah, that's a little inside from Evan. There's like those 3 trees that you kind of just want to miss. You prefer to go left, which is the intended gap, but if you kind of sneak through, it's not bad either, like MJ's doing right here.
And that's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but you could see there his disc stayed on Anheuser the whole way, and he's made it in relation to the pin in a good position there. Grady also sneaks through with the forehand, catches a late tree.
Yeah, he almost needs that to carry a little straighter, a little longer before then it ultimately fades back to the pin.
Yeah, Evan probably 230 feet or so out. Throws the popcorn up there. That'll do. This is probably like 70, 80, and I didn't want anything. I didn't want to deal with that.
Slightly downhill, and again, I feel like so many attempts here can pop up and possibly get away from you. So makes sense when you're talking about that range not to add any added pressure or stress to your putt for par.
Absolutely. And he does it again.
Yeah, MJ with the look, and he takes advantage of it. The round for you guys started at exactly noon, and there's 93 men in the MPO division this weekend, so a pretty stout field. And you come in as one of the higher-rated players, don't you?
I do. Me, Evan Smith, MJ. It's a pretty strong field. There's a lot of 1,000 rated plus players, which is fun, exciting.
How long you been playing?
I've been playing for 7 years, a little over 7 years.
Okay, now we head over to hole 7, and this doesn't get any easier, does it?
No, there's a lot of trees in the way. Yeah. This hole's only 400 feet, but it plays uphill, so it probably plays more like 500 maybe. And you just kind of throw a backhand hyzer and hope you miss trees, which MJ does.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, I feel like at a certain point, you're throwing obviously to an area, and then if it filters through the last, 50 feet of trees, that's just a little bit of luck almost.
Yeah.
The fact that we just saw 2 drives and neither of you hit a single tree is pretty incredible.
Yeah, there's not really a gap. There's kind of an intended gap, but which me and MJ hit, but after you hit that gap, it's kind of just poke and pray a little bit, but
Sure. Evan gets caught up just a little bit, but shouldn't be too far out of position.
Oh, no.
And that's one of the early trees that are going to make this much more challenging.
yeah, let's see what he's got from here. He's going forehand flex.
Yeah, he's got a tunnel, but then it hits one of the very late guardians and pushes him the opposite direction of the pin, which is located straight up that tunnel right there.
Yeah, I noticed when you get kicks going uphill, they kick so far backwards down the hill. That's a good upshot there from Evan. Oh,
Little baby turtle. He's dead, but cool little turtle shell. Little box turtle, I guess.
Plenty of nature out here, although that one has already seen its demise maybe. As we'll see if Grady can get up and down. At this point, he's just in par save mode. This ultimately will play as a relatively soft par 4 because, like you said, it's just 400 feet.
yeah, me and MJ both, you can see we just kind of got through the trees, and it leaves you with just a mere 120 up the hill. You just kind of toss it up there, and the green's really safe, so you can almost kind of run this little upshot if you want.
Easy birdies, what you want on these holes.
See Grady on that high left side, but makes a good adjustment there, so that's going to be a par 4. And now this is the first of 3 rounds that you guys will be playing this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, rounds 2 and 3. Those will take place over at the Central Course, which some of you guys have seen for the big tournaments in this area over the last few years. We're going to play the locomotive layout over the next 2 rounds. So this will be the one and only time our pros have a shot at this course. Got to make the most of it. Again, pretty easy routine birdies for everyone except for Grady here, as you guys are going to move over to hole number 8.
Hole 8. It's playing 650. There's another mando on this hole. You have to go left of. You can kind of see it over there on the right. There's a creek that's OB if you're surrounded by water there, and that creek follows around the basket. And there's kind of 2 fairways. The drone flew the shorter fairway, but there's a longer fairway past the creek as well.
Yeah, really unique shot just to get down. You're playing basically down toward the creek, and if you go over the bridge per se and you find yourself on that long fairway, that works. Or if you come up short, you can kind of take the shorter fairway, which feels like it's a little bit more open. And you also have to stay to the left of the mando tree, which you landed somewhat near, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I actually hit it. Maybe I was scared of the mando tree again, and I pulled it left. Got to kick right, hit it. Evan, that's a good shot, but it rolls. And it's out of bounds. This shot looks very good from Grady.
Yeah, definitely pushing to that long side. He gets all the way over the bridge, and then somehow it checks right up and then just rests against the tree, which, you know, any other time could have easily rolled back into the creek. And I think what your big concern there is just don't put it down into the center of the creek, right? So this is where we find MJ, and explain how the rules stated that you have to be surrounded by water. Is that?
Yeah, so you have to be surrounded by water. So even where MJ is, he's down there, but we were kind of determining if he's surrounded by water. In the end, he was not surrounded by water, so he was safe. So he takes casual relief instead of OB relief, so he can only take it straight back, not as far back as he wants. And he just kind of plays a fairway shot there. Smart play.
And so Grady's, like I said, kind of resting up against the tree, but still has a very awkward line here. Then he gets over on it.
Yeah, pretty lucky or fortunate to not cut roll there. Evan took this pretty far back off the OB to give himself an angle. And he's using this shorter fairway, and that's pretty well done, but it's kind of launched.
Yeah, it's going to flex out at the very end. Had it just stayed on Anheuser the entire way, he would have probably actually just finished about pin high. However, it looks like it stabled up at the end. This is your third.
Yeah, I was just not trying to mess with the creek there. Just trying to give myself a look.
Yeah, this creek will, I think, as time goes on, whether it ends up getting bigger or, depending on how dry it stays or not, I think they're going to always have to come up with some kind of semi-permanent delineation for the OB, and that one goes right out into the center of the creek. So that's going to be out of bounds for Grady. But it's just really difficult because some days this is going to play very different one weekend versus the next. And then you're going to have a lot of judgment calls. And that's where I think maybe long term you might see some kind of string or rope or something of that nature that kind of just gives you a more defined line that's consistent week in and week out. Because two groups out here I feel like could play this slightly different on any given day.
Yeah, the creek is definitely not super defined. There's a lot of like little rocks and stuff, and you're like, oh, is it in bounds? Is it not? Evan, I think that was a layup.
Yeah,
that stays safe.
And the basket is, again, almost on like a peninsula island-ish type thing where there's water essentially all around it, and Grady's going to find himself on the edge of it again, so there'll be another one of those inbounds questions, and MJ doesn't want to be too aggressive because if he goes deep, he could be exactly where he just saw Grady go. So he kind of gives that a half bid. And now you're pin high. Water directly behind the basket from that angle too, but
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. How many hours a day do you practice putt?
Oh, man, I try to practice every day for at least an hour, but I just love practice putting. So,
well, it looks like it's paying off.
I enjoy it. Yeah. See, this is what we're talking about. So we can't really tell 100%. Is he surrounded? He's kind of on some little rock pebbles there,
and MJ was arguably the most vocal in saying it's very inconsistent. And as he just says, with the way the creek is, I have no problem calling that safe.
Yep.
And so ultimately he's going to be deemed inbounds.
First available lie? Yes. Okay.
And so he's going to cash that in and still walk away with a double bogey, which is going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I heard a lot of players talking about this whole kind of controversial, but I even heard some people like, double bogey's not the worst.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's so easy to find out of bounds, as some of your card almost did multiple times. So, yeah, not your par is looking pretty good right now. That's for sure. As we head into the 9th hole here of our opening round, and
we got another mando.
All right.
Yeah, it's 200 feet. It's just a hyzer down the hill. You kind of want to hug the inside. I like to hug the inside, but hit the gap, let it hyzer down. There's OB left long down there with the water, but pretty straightforward hole.
And to be honest with you, I didn't even realize there was a mando sign. I don't know if you would even really think about the left side. Is there enough of a gap over there to even tempt somebody?
I didn't even look over there because I saw the mando sign and I'm like,
okay, I know which way I have to go. It's just, I guess there is somewhat of an opening, but I don't think it looks too appealing for a righty backhand thrower anyway, as MJ is going to be there with a look.
Yeah, scary putt downhill.
This is kind of the mid-height.
Yeah, a little low and wide, but he's kind of near MJ there.
And then you see a very different approach. I feel like we're seeing this one up a lot higher, just hoping it for kind of just a dump as it gets down there and looks to be closest to the pin.
Yeah, that was great. He threw it kind of something stable, flat and high, and just let it stall out there.
I really like that. It's a good bounce back, too, after struggling on the previous hole. And really good bid by Evan.
Yeah, that was a great effort there.
I mean, it's wide open and downhill, so it feels like you have to go for it. MJ, no fear.
No
but
fear.
It's so easy to not hit anything and then have a really terrible comeback putt.
Yeah, even Evans' putt there kind of skipped off the cage and left him a little bit. I was happy with that putt. Kind of went a little long, but
yeah, and
so
5
far,
down
so
through the
good.
front 9. You can't really complain about that too much.
No, I was feeling good for sure. Evans taking his time with this little putt here.
Yeah,
It's in.
Yeah, it looks like that basket high, the left side on its way out, tried to grab it and pull it back in. Thank goodness. That was a good putt. Grady will tap in. He'll move to just 1 under, and we're going to tap out of the front 9. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Thank you to Clash, along with all the other supporters and sponsors and any other transition screens that you've seen out here. I don't know. Put something in the comments. I got double G jerky to give away. I know you guys want it. Joey, we'll see you in the back 9, buddy.
See you there.